Alrighty. So, I know I said that the point of this YouTube channel, or like this video series, or whatever you want to call it, the purpose of it was mainly photography, but I do plan on just talking about other stuff as well that I find interesting or helpful. Or so yeah, my name's Tam. I've introduced myself in the other video, but if you haven't watched that yet, or if this one is how you found me, then hi. I'm a photographer, videographer, do all the kinds of media stuff. I post on social media for STC Fit and the branch STC Fit Learning, which is slightly more advanced for PTs or anyone else who's interested in the deep realms of training and nutrition. And I'm also a PT, also a part of STC Fit, and I've been doing that for 2.5 years. Introduce yourself, Alan.
Hey, so my name is Alain. It really depends on the day and what ID card I use. So I'm a hopefully final year Bachelor of Arts student at the University of Melbourne. I study politics and media. I also do photography and just a bit of everything, really.
You have pretty much almost dead on interests to me. Similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, at first I wasn't into that health section, but I got into, started training, properly on my diet, and, bam, you're PT, so it really helped out.
Please do not note the 2 large cans of Monster on my desk at the moment. Let's move on.
Let's move on.
Yeah, so if Alan hasn't made that clear, he's also a photographer, videographer, he messes around with audio, likes all this cool tech stuff that we put all of our hard-earned money into.
Oh, what's left of it at the moment, but...
And he has started training with nutritional and training guidance from me, so that's exciting.
Yeah, no, it's been a very interesting experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty. And before we start as well, a lot of the stuff that we're talking about today, which is, in a few words, it's, self-worth, putting your values on certain achievements or not, comparing yourself, realizing who you are, that kind of mushy stuff. But I feel like a lot of, especially us younger people in this generation, struggle with more so than the previous generation. And because it's being so much more amplified, coming from all sorts of different directions, because we have access to so much social media, whatever, news, we're so much more aware, that kind of thing. So all of the stuff that I'm going to present, and maybe some of the quotes and some of the sayings and mottos, I guess, that I'll mention, I've learnt from some of my coaches and just mostly the people that I hang around with at STC Fit for the most part. So I would like to thank especially Ben, my mentor, and of course the rest of the team.
Yeah, no, I'd also like to thank you, as well as some of the friends. They know who they are. It's been definitely eye-opening for
a journey.
Yeah, it's been a journey. Hasn't ended yet.
So the first topic I want to touch on is relationships and the self-worth that people seem to attach to it.
Yeah.
And all things related to it. I feel like a lot of people, especially nowadays, again, because there's so much of it that we're exposed to, not just on social media, but through it, everyone's putting only their highlights and their best parts of it out into the world. And then you look at it and you go, oh, that'd be nice. Or why aren't I there? Or what are they doing differently? Or, oh, I feel like I deserve that too.
Well, what am I doing wrong that hasn't made me get to that position that they are in? It's all, am I falling behind, or what am I doing, pretty much half the time?
Yeah. So in terms of relationships, they think, oh, I want to be with, maybe they have a person in mind, maybe they don't, but I want to be in a relationship and that's going to make me happy.
On a personal level, it's a constant struggle that I go with. It's like, a lot of friends are getting into relationships, or, having your hand at apps like Tinder and whatnot, and it's like, crap, everyone's getting into one. Some people are even getting engaged, your cousins in relationships, and then, you feel like the firing line is on you. It's like, see, if I get into a relationship, I can prove a point to X amount of people, or even myself, and I'll be happy, I'll be complete, I'll have a family, whatever. But it's a very debilitating kind of mindset to have, because it's like you put so much worth on how you want to be with another person, but if it doesn't align, if you're trying to force it, it actually makes you feel worse in the end. And I've been dealing with this for years, honestly, and it comes to a point where you're like, okay, this is not working out. Why aren't you in one, or why do you want one? And you can't answer it, which kind of links back to that, that cycle of, do you actually want one because you want to, out of love, or that sort of highlights thing you mentioned, through social media or the people around us. And so, it brings up a lot of question, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think an interesting thing that you touched on there was, that's right, the extreme highs and lows. So let's say you're just in that phase of infatuation with someone. Your thoughts are kind of clouded and your judgment isn't the best at opportune moments because your emotions are at an all-time high. Some people. The crash that you get from that when things don't go to expectations can be pretty bad. And I feel like that goes for a lot of things, not just romantic relationships.
It can go down to stuff like, especially with infatuation, it's such an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
It's like,
everything goes out the window.
The ideation, the wanting to be with someone, and then finding out, okay, this is not how I expected to be. It's like, again, it's like, how do you react to this? And everyone reacts differently.
So it's not having no expectations, but taking things at face value. Okay, that turned out well. Why? Okay, that didn't turn out well. Why? And that literally applies to most things that you might encounter in life, and that's it. They're not always reflective of you as a person. Your values don't change. Your worth doesn't change. They're just events that have happened to you. And I think that is an important thing to realize for a lot of people, so that they don't attach their self-worth, coming back to the topic, on the idea of a relationship, a romantic relationship.
Yeah. And it's also the fact that, it's events like that. Sometimes you don't need to take it personally. It happens.
It might be the other person.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's not always the other person. Sometimes there might be factors of yourself. But, if we're using the example of a job rejection, you may have felt that you were compatible with the company's values or whatnot, but you got rejected because they may have found someone who they felt was more suited to them, because it's subjective, because of how you see yourself, how you see that company, or as well as the hiring person. But it sucks because you got rejected. You didn't get the job you want, and you have to go through the whole process again, and it is tiring. Yeah. But at the same time, it's just an event that transpired, and there will be events of, like you said, the high ups and the high lows when it comes to that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. It's realizing that things don't last forever.
No.
They just happen. And how you react to it is more of a indication of your character.
But also the fact that how things are so transient is an advantage that we can use, is because we know that it won't last forever. Mm-hmm. It gives us the ability to acknowledge that, and we can move on and then continue on whatever we set up to do, which is the best part for me, that I find anyway. Yeah.
100%. Sweet. What are your thoughts on how we were talking about attaching your image or your worth or whatever it is to the prospect of being in a relationship or having a certain job, but then you don't get it?
Yeah.
The reason most people feel shitty about it, and I'm going to have to mark this episode as explicit now, is...
Sorry, kids.
They're not confident / comfortable / what's the word I'm looking for? They haven't achieved and fulfilled enough as an individual where they're proud of themselves. They can have conversations with themselves. They're comfortable with being themselves, so that they can attract other people who are attracted to that. They think, if I have another person to pitch in and that's where my happiness comes from, that'll be a solution to my problems.
That's an interesting way to put it, because, when it comes to that sort of stuff, it's like a lot of proverbs are like, you find the other half, or you complete. But how I've started to see it is that the more that you kind of beat yourself up about it, the less likely that you're going to be in that position where you want to pitch to the other person that, we're compatible, or I offer something. And,
Yeah.
I mean, like, the counter argument is, if you're self-critical of yourself, you can improve. But it's so easy to go down into that rabbit hole of wanting to improve, wanting to be, I need to be this person, I need to be that person, or I can complete myself if I do this and that, or so I can get, that job or a partner or something. But it becomes a vicious cycle for sure.
What's difficult about that too is it's not as easy done as said.
No, definitely.
So in me saying that, you have to be comfortable and you have to be confident in yourself, it's like a good example I put to Alan last week actually is if you met the person in the position you want to be in life, like this is your favorite singer or they're your favorite artist, or maybe you're into the visual world and this is your favorite architect or your favorite designer, your idol, right? If you had 2 minutes with them in an elevator, and you met them, you obviously know who they are, you respect their work, you respect their approach, all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know what they're about. So you'd go, "Hi, my name is Tam." What would you say after that? Where does that confidence come from that you can say, in my example, now when I talk to someone, I can confidently say, "Hey, I'm Tam. I'm into fitness. I'm a personal trainer. Been doing it for 2.5 years. And I like to train young to middle-aged people, primarily females, get stronger, control their nutrition for whatever results they want, and learn how to do that for the rest of their life."
Yeah.
I also take photos and videos.
Yeah. Like, if you can say that
Yeah.
to someone that you have some sort of, I guess, respect and admiration for, then you know that you reach that stage of, I guess, self-love or being at ease with yourself, that you can say that, and you've embraced, I guess, maybe even the shortfalls of getting there, as well as that constant learning process. I mean, personally for me, I don't know what I'll say to my favorite photographer, architect, sports player yet.
Yeah.
Like, I'm starting to get a glimpse. I mean, I'm still in that process.
Yeah.
But I can see what you mean. It's so interesting to see from the other side when people basically know their shit. Sorry, kids. But, like, it's like...
So speaking of kids,
yeah,
this is what they would call big dick energy, would you say?
Oh, dear. Is that term still relevant in the realms of the internet these days?
Is that just a Twitter thing? Do people...
I don't know. I don't use Twitter.
Do you believe in it, the concept?
I believe in self-confidence and
Yes.
without arrogance. Being self-confidence doesn't mean you're arrogant.
Yes.
That's
confident is confident.
Yeah, there's sometimes, I mean, look, it can blur and it's very easy to clump them two together when you're not in that state, but they're very different. It's not like going up to, the prime minister and saying, "Oh, look at me, blah, blah." It's more like, I'm part of this. This is what I offer.
I feel like what it is, and there's two parts to this, and I'm trying not to lose my train of thought.
Yeah.
One part is you feel like you can offer someone something. So not, "Hey, I've got a 6-pack. I train 6 days a week, 2 times a day. And I eat like this. And this is my Instagram. And I have 10,000 followers." But it's...
I do CrossFit. No, but...
"Hey, how you doing? I see you're into fitness as well. What's your training like? Okay, cool. How's your nutrition going? Have you tried this? Oh, cool. This is what I'm doing at the moment." And it's a conversation, but you're in a way showing that you know your stuff and you're offering and you're trying to help. But that's one scenario, obviously. But then the other thing is, if to an extent this might not apply, but for the most part, I think you don't have to say that you're good at something.
Cliche as it sounds, but if people can pick up on the passion that you have towards something. If you basically, don't shut up about it, or you have like that active interest when you're talking to someone.
That could be good and bad.
Yeah, no, of course. No, I've had both. But like that active interest of, you know what, you like, you're curious to know what they think about, say, that concept, that thing.
Yeah.
And then you're able to contribute it meaningfully without just feeling it's like,
So would you say it's, say, someone who can have a conversation about something?
Yeah.
Not just blab on about what they do.
And without being, let's just say...
One-way conversation.
Or let's say the other person might not be as accustomed to the concepts of, say training or photography or whatever. They're not being condescending about it. It's like, oh no, you actually do this, or this camera is that, or no, you shouldn't be eating that. It's more about, okay, what is your process when you go out and eat? Do you get this or do you get that? Are you conscious of this? Or in photography anyway, it's like, oh,
So I'll come to you, oh, how do I take better photos? How do you think this photo looks? Is it bad? How do I take better photos?
How do I take better photos with my phone, or what camera should I use that's really good?
How would you respond to that as someone who's coming from the more positive option?
I mean, I'd respond by saying, it's great that you're making an effort. Like you want to improve upon your skills. You want to do this and that. What do you want to get out of, say, photography or training, or what's a goal that you have? Like, if people don't have a goal, you kind of try to help them towards the path of having a goal, because goals are very important, because you can build foundations to, I don't know, learn something new or discover parts about yourself that you didn't know. I mean,
so I think also what is the mark of someone who knows their stuff is what their first answer is, how quickly they answer. It's like, if you ask me how to take a better photo, and I answer, oh, you got to use this camera, this lens, you got to use these settings, without knowing anything about what you shoot or what you're like or what your experience is like, then I'm just showing off.
Yeah.
And I'm probably wrong.
But so what would you say?
So I would say it depends.
It depends. Yeah.
Yeah. You'll hear those two words heaps in Alan knows this. First couple of times we sat down about it. What do you think about this? What do you think about this? Or what should I do in terms of this? Or how do I do that? Depends.
It's like, it's like...
So what should follow it depends is a bunch of questions.
Questions about their sort of, not habits, but it's kind of like their way of approaching that concept. It's like, for me, a lot of friends ask me about audio presenting, like, how do I have apparently a voice that's good for audio? I'm just like, well, it depends on what I'm talking about.
Or get better parents.
It's no, I mean, I feel like everyone can present themselves in a way that...
Right, okay, you're not talking about like vocal...
No, I'm talking about like the sort of way that you are on radio.
Right.
Like, I mean, when I worked at, the radio station, we've had people from all over the place. Varying levels of English, varying levels of skills, varying levels of, just everything really, And the most important thing that I've learned from my mentors there, was don't just read off a script, don't just sound robotic, be engaged, be actively interested in what you're talking about. So if you say you wanted to do a podcast, right, you want to do a podcast that you want to actually talk about, like, why start, say, I don't know, financial advice podcast if you're a history major? I mean, look, if you're good at math, but like, you see, it does come down to context and relevance as well. But
so all put together, I think we started on relationships and we got here somehow. The signs that someone you're talking to has good intentions, they will start with, it depends. They'll ask a bunch of questions about your approach, your mindset, how you do things, not just how they do things. And then the other thing is they're asking and they're responding in order to understand, not just to respond.
Right, it's like, it's kind
so if someone's listening to you just to give you an answer and you don't learn anything, they're like, oh, that's the answer and that's it.
Yeah.
Then I feel like you need to look for someone else to ask that question.
It's kind of like, you say something and then that person's like, all right, so you do this, but why? Like, what do you want to get out of this? It's like, oh, I want to get this out. Right, so let's say you got that.
Yep.
What's next? It's pretty much probing,
It's did they teach you anything? Or did they just tell you?
Sometimes, what was that adage? Show, not tell, sometimes even applies here. It's like, you're talking to someone, you can pick up if they're just answering, like you said, or they're actually being curious about what you have to say, for sure. Yep.
So leading on from that, you yourself are working on that statement of, who am I? What am I about? Right? Like, you meet...
Why am I here?
that's also what am I doing? How do I get there? No,
anyway.
It's, you're still working on summing you as a person in a couple of sentences.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be specific. I don't say, I live here, I do this, blah, 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 blah. But it's, who am I and what am I about, right? And if you can show your passion and
What makes you tick, as they
Yeah.
say. It's just like,
as cheesy as that sounds, it's a feeling. Like, it just sounds cheesy when you say it. So I think what you touched on before as well is what was it? Your passion. No, people can feel your passion or something like that.
people can pick up on the fact that you have that curiosity, or you've got that, that
Just you're switched on about
you're
something.
switched on about it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, look, stuff like how good you are at it or
Yeah.
whatever plays hand in hand.
Mm.
But regardless, the fact that you're switched on means that you have kind of like an active interest over it than some other things. Or
And I think at the base of it, it's a drive to learn,
yeah,
to improve.
a lot of it does come down to just wanting to learn, just wanting to finding that, what fits best for you and what's best.
And
for
it's
you.
like, what's next for me as well. So
Sense of progression, really.
Yeah.
So yeah.
yeah, not just being complacent. So like we said before, you're good at something, you're confident at it. You can start imparting that knowledge on other people. Okay,
Yeah.
cool, but you still probably need to get better at some point.
Yeah. But it's so easy.
Which is interesting. So easy.
It's so easy to get complacent though. Like, that's the
Yeah.
thing. It's like, you've learned, like, let's say you've learned something up to a point. You're like, all right, I've learned. I'm done. I can just chug along. But then, no, that's where it actually begins.
But some people are fine with that.
Yeah, some, but
They won't be the people that you go to. The people that you go to will always be trying to learn something new, except that they don't know something. The mark, and again, I've learnt this from the people that I'm around a lot.
yeah.
Is they'll say, "I don't know." I actually don't know,
And
but
it's not bad to say I don't know.
if your Google searches don't suffice, I will do my research and I'll get back to you tomorrow. And then that person will be like, sweet.
Yeah.
Instead of, oh, it's actually this, and this. I'm such an expert.
Really,
and
it's full
you
of-
might be right or you might be wrong.
A lot of, like, when you kind of puff it up like that, I'm full of shit. Don't know what I'm talking about, but I don't want to lose face. It's yeah.
Yeah. I think even in that case, if you ask me something I didn't know, I would also ask, why do you want to know? And I'm saying do research, and that's a random thing, because if I asked Alan, when's the next whatever movie coming out? And he says, I don't know, but I'll go do research for you. It's like a weird thing to say. But I'm talking more about in the context of like someone in a position of authority.
Yeah.
So a client comes up to me, or someone in the gym just comes up to me. Hey, what's the process behind this biochemistry related thing? I'm like, I don't know, but why do you want to know that? And then they'll like start explaining things. Maybe they just heard it from someone. Like my mum will hear something random from one of her friends. And she'll be like, hey, what's this about? And I'm like, I don't know, but that sounds dodgy.
Yeah.
But I probably wouldn't trust it.
It's like,
this is what works for my clients. So I think the next thing we should discuss is the concepts of, and this is touching on the first topic that we talked about in relationships.
Yeah.
Is your value as a person. And again, like, you might be an expert, you might be not. Okay, cool. But apart from that, the events that affect you, these events don't affect how much value you hold and how much value you bring to the table.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
It's hard not to.
Yeah.
Like a lot of things.
Yeah, it's hard not to take it personally because it is your life. It
is, because at the end of the day, we all want a life that is fulfilling, that's, surrounded by people, well, most people anyway. It's hard because when you do have, like, say, relationships or want to be in one,
right?
You
romantic relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to be able to click with someone, or someone that aligns with your values, and to some extent take on the world with you. It's just that human feeling of, I guess, companionship, belonging,
belonging, pretty much.
It's just human sometimes to just want to be able to be with someone, to share what you achieve in life or what you're striving for in life, because it's exciting when people genuinely give a shit about what you're doing. It's like, let's just say you want to, I don't know, let's start from a lower level. Let's just say you want to be, I don't know, let's say you're at university and you want to graduate. to be able to graduate to someone that's been supportive of that whole process is something.
Yeah.
Or at the other end, you want to be able to start off your own business, having that support, I mean, this support can come in not just romantic relationships, mentors, friends, investors, and maybe a bit of luck. But, like, it comes down to, it's just that feel-good feeling.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm saying, but...
So I think what you're trying to get at is the reason people attach their self-worth and self-value, and not even just their worth and their value, to what happens to them and who's around and what job they're working and what they do for a living or whatever, is because they aren't actually having that sense of fulfillment in their life.
And,
So they're saying this person or this position or whatever will give me that.
But also it comes with external factors of why
course.
you don't have that, that self-fulfillment. And
Yeah.
in a way, it is quite, it is really easy to head into that position of having someone, that exclusivity, someone that's there for you, that, it just feels good because people were giving attention to. But also it's the conscious choice of, in a relationship, they're not related to you. It's just, it comes down to, damn, this person can not spend a minute and not give a shit about me for whenever. They can just cut off any time. But they're choosing the time to get to know me, to be able to be curious about what I do, or, the mistakes, the highs, the lows, the whatever. Really, it just comes down to
the
that.
fact that someone is choosing you.
Yeah.
Over other choices.
And this is by conscious decision, by choice.
And I think that applies to work as well.
Yeah.
Or like studies or whatever it is. Oh, they picked me. And that feels good.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know why you picked me after 4 years, but anyway.
Alan sometimes, and by sometimes I mean a lot of the times, gives himself shit about doing an arts degree.
Oh my, that's, I mean, who doesn't?
Right. But like everyone's doing either art or something else that's...
Art, science, commerce, engineering, teaching. It's your usual.
Education is a big one that I see.
No, it's... Yeah. And even, like, it's so interesting because the standards for teaching, education has gone up. Like, there's now a higher minimum requirement to get in. You have to do, like, an exam after you do a degree. Like, in, say, Year 9 level numeracy and literacy. Yeah. Numeracy. Anyway.
What was that?
I don't know.
Was that a dig at your numeracy skills?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's 1 + 1? Anyway.
So along with Alan teasing himself about his arts degree, he's also a bit self-deprecative.
I'm not.
Which I tell him off about.
Hey, I'm totally not.
But hey, that comes back to self-value.
No, it really does.
Be happy with who you are, what you have achieved, what you're going to achieve.
Yeah. No.
How you're going to do that. What you're going to do to work towards that. Shut up, Tam. Stop sounding sappy. You can't really not sound sappy.
No,
about
you
this
really
stuff.
can't. You can't not. You just add swearing to not sound sappy, but then it doesn't really work.
Yeah, so your achievements, your milestones, blah, 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 they might not rank up to someone else's who's at the same point in life as you, but that doesn't change who you are. That doesn't affect who you are.
No, it's so much worse.
Like, if Alan suddenly got his dream job or won the lottery or whatever the fuck, and he's driving his dream car, he lives in, like, LA now, he's got this job.
Toronto, thank you. LA's a bit overrated.
Sorry, that just came to mind. Because I said dream car and I just thought of a Lamborghini or something.
My dream car is
It's like the Yaris V10 or something. No, what was your car?
Honda Odyssey. There was one time.
I've never heard that before. That's something new that I've learnt about you. Your dream car is a Honda Odyssey.
Or Tarago, but they got rid of that recently. No, it's just...
I've just remembered what an Odyssey looks like.
It's that big family car. No, it's a meme because there was one time I went to a picnic in Burnley.
Where the hell is that?
Near Hawthorne.
Oh, okay.
The Burnley Tunnel, that place that always
I've heard that.
Yeah, the tunnel always closes.
Okay.
And so my friend was driving a Marina and I was in his car. And our other friend was driving an Odyssey. Throughout the day, pretty much it was, why are you driving an Odyssey? It's the family car. I'm like, yeah, well, get your own car. There's like 8 people in this house. I'm like, okay, fair. So think of an inner city road. very narrow, and there's cars parked on both sides. So there's really only one middle lane. So you know what my friend with the Barina did? He just stopped the car and stood out. He's like, "Hey man, how's it going?" And you just hear him in the back. "You fucking idiot! Let me fucking drive first." This is why I want an Odyssey.
So you can block roads whenever you want.
No. Actually, no.
What are you talking about? The Barina?
The Barina blocked the Odyssey, but the fact that when you drive an Odyssey, people think you have like a big family and, you know, stability. I don't know. You know what? I'll just take the bus. Screw it. 410-220-219.
Okay, so Alan has landed his dream job in Toronto and he's driving a bus.
I did not expect you to say bus.
Apologies to who's managing to listen this far and who has probably clicked off by now. But so Alan's landed his...
He's not driving a bus. Hey, do you reckon by the time I get that job in Toronto, there'll be Uber bus? There's Uber pool.
Oh, yeah, Uber, yeah. No, I reckon Uber pool, they'll just start driving on Odysseys.
Well, you can get Uber Select or Uber XL, which means... what
is that just like ordering bigger taxis?
Like a bigger car, yeah.
Yeah.
What's that thing in Melbourne? Maxi Cabby? No, Maxi Cab.
Well, yeah, in most places you can tell them, oh, we have this many people who want to fit this many bags, and they'll send you a larger car or whatever.
Or if you're an Asian family going on a trip, they'll just send you free maxi cabs at 5 a.m. But
no, or being Asian, your parents will select the smallest option and you all squeeze in.
I have a few stories about that, but they might not be legal. So let's just start.
Alrighty, we'll leave that for another episode. Look forward to that, guys.
That's
Alan's illegal experiences. Please don't sue us, or please don't arrest us. Episode 3. All
right. Okay.
Okay. Alan's in his dream job. He's in his dream scenario, living the life. That doesn't change anything about me. That doesn't mean that you should attach that to how much you're worth and why you're not in that position.
Or use it as a parameter for your own sense of success.
Yep.
Oh, you know, this person's living in this suburb. This person's getting married. This person's got this car. I need to get that car. I need to get married. I need to get a job like that.
Yep.
So I can feel good.
Yep.
But then that's maybe their goals. But your goals could be something else. It could be...
Right.
You know, some people can just say, I just want to be happy, or... Yeah, whatever that means.
Yeah.
No, but you, in seriously, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, one person's dream car could be a Lamborghini. The other person's could be a Yaris.
Or it could not be a car.
It could just
they might not attach their success to a car.
It could be like, if I can live somewhere where I can just take public transport or just walk from home from work, then I'll be happy. You know, it's...
So that comes back to certain events in your life and in other people's lives. Not dictating yourself... it shouldn't dictate your perspective on yourself.
Another really important thing to note or to say is that life isn't a competition as well. It's
right.
This is something I still struggle with to this day, and I'm just saying this.
Yeah.
But I still struggle, hypocrite. But it's kind of like.
But you're aware.
Like awareness is a thing, you know. Yeah. But like it's like you don't want to treat yourself as if you're racing or you're running, because you'll end up running till your end of days. Like you'll never stop. Yeah. And it's like, you know, there's always that fear of like the examples you put. Oh, this person's got this dream job, this that. You feel like you're falling behind. I mean, personally, for me, I'm about a year late to graduation. I've had a lot of my friends graduated last year, but at the same time, a lot are graduating this year. But for me, I'm not graduating until next year. So it's, you know, and for so long, I was like, why am I not graduating?
And that doesn't mean you failed at anything.
No, I mean, it's just, I'm going at my own pace. It might seem slow. It is slow, but it's something that I consciously chose to do. Right. And maybe I'll, you know, I don't know what's going to happen, but like maybe I'll feel better out of it. You know?
And like, I think at the very core, it's whether you graduate this year or last year or next year doesn't mean anything.
What's important is that eventually you do graduate, you know, in that scenario.
Yeah,
anyway.
And for you, you're putting it off to focus on certain things. Or not putting it off, but you're just doing more things before you graduate, and that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
So that comes back again to what we talked about relationships, where okay, you didn't get that job, or you didn't successfully.
Or it didn't turn out the way you want with that person, despite thinking that you
That's a better
clicked.
way of
Yeah,
putting it.
Yeah.
Okay, that didn't happen. You're still exactly the same person though.
Like, you are the person that you were before you met them
Before
or you applied
X.
for the job.
Yep.
It's just that you now have a greater wisdom of who you are compared to
Right.
that time. Sorry, that was a quote from this meditation I did. It was great.
That's really fucking good.
No, it's a beautiful meditation. The guy was like, we can basically, it's like we look at the past and we confuse how we reorient, like how we refine how we see that past and
Yep.
fusing it into our our future, and because we have a greater wisdom.
Yep.
And that meditation also, there was another point where it was like, by accepting our current timeline, who we are also reducing the burden, the stress, and the guilt of our past selves. That self-doubt where you're like, oh, what if I did this? What if I...
Having just watched Endgame,
Yeah.
and this isn't a spoiler to anyone, how time travel works in that is if you go back in time and you change whatever, that doesn't change anything in your timeline or that other timeline that you went back to.
No.
It just creates a new path.
A new path.
A new timeline.
That won't necessarily affect you.
So it's
like,
like,
not your time. Yeah.
okay, I didn't get that job, or I didn't get promoted, or whatever, or I didn't graduate. All it means is your path has changed a bit. It doesn't mean I'm less of a person. I didn't achieve this. This means this. It doesn't reflect on any of that. It's just, okay, now what's the next step? And that's it. I think what people have trouble with is looking at that end goal. And I tell this to people that I sit down with all the time, let alone my own clients, is if you're running a marathon, you wouldn't bolt across the start line, whip out your binoculars, look at the finish line, and keep bashing yourself on, I'm not there yet, I'm not there yet, I'm not there yet. You just look straight ahead, look down at your feet occasionally. What's the next step?
Yeah.
1 foot in front of the
But
other.
also, even before the marathon begins, it's how do I even begin this marathon? I need to build myself up to a way that I am in the ability to say that I can run the marathon and I can finish it.
Yeah.
But obviously, then you got to execute that plan, that strategy you've got of, all right, I'm actually racing, like you said. What's the next step? And you keep on doing it to the point that, oh crap, I finished the marathon. It's it's
and I keep whipping out these analogies, and yes, I have tons of them because it helps me communicate with people certain concepts. Is a roll of toilet paper. You use it day to day, take one section at a time, or however many you use, but you don't actually see it get smaller in that small instance. After 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, it's gone. You have to replace it. You're like, oh shit, all that paper's gone. So if you relate it back to the marathon, what's the next step? What's that next piece of toilet paper that I'm going to take, right? You do that time and time again, you're going to be at your end result, whether it's what you planned or not. So an easy example of that, or a scenario where I would use that, is fat loss for a lot of people. Losing weight, looking better, fitting into a certain size pants or shirt. What's your end goal? Okay, cool. What do we need to do for now?
See, like when that initial stage of wanting to lose weight, you're not going to notice a radical change to your body or even your weight. It's kind of like it's getting yourself into that state that once the change happens, you have the momentum to keep going, to be able to finally notice something. And sooner or later, it's like, wow, I've lost X amount of kilos, or I can fit into this size clothes. Like you said, it's a lot of it. Yeah, I mean, the hard part is the initial, because you want results immediately.
Yeah,
it's like
and I think the why it's hard is because you don't have a view of the big picture. You don't have an understanding. You don't have the knowledge. And you can learn this. Just ask someone for help, or do your research, or whatever. Right?
Yeah,
just
for sure.
have the drive to learn. Coming back to what we spoke about before, if you want to learn about how to lose weight, what you have to do. Okay, cool. That'll give you the drive to approach different people, ask what they do, or get them to teach you. But if you're just looking at what's the next step, okay, the next step might be this diet for you. you're not going to learn anything from it. So it might be a step, but it might not be a good one.
Yeah.
But either way, it's going to get you to that goal.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah, if you have that drive to want to learn to better yourself, blah, 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 whatever it is you want to achieve, and you don't attach your self-worth to where you are at the moment on that journey, then I think a powerful realization is you literally have the ability to do anything that you want.
Yeah.
And I said this to Alan last week and he laughed. It's like, he could stand up right now and roundhouse kick me in the head. That's a decision he could totally make.
My example was I can just go down to the train station near us and just start screaming randomly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to,
you wanted to
go to the train station and yell at people. Cool, that's
Honestly,
a decision.
Yeah. Honestly, I do yell 3/4 of the time, but anyway.
Yeah, he does it into pillows at home.
Hey.
Was that a good guess?
No, it wasn't pillows.
Oh, no, you just screamed.
My name isn't Kyle. I don't punch drywalls.
Yeah, so instead of kicking me in the head, Alan could also just decide to send out 1,000 emails tomorrow to prospective employers of the place that he wants to work at one day, or he might just enroll in 50 online courses.
Oh, you're giving me flashbacks now.
Or he could go off and look up some YouTube tutorial about how to take this kind of photo, or how to do this technique in video.
But on the flip side,
yeah,
he or I could just go to sleep tomorrow and just not do anything and just be on my phone and play games all day.
And that's also a decision.
It's a decision. Maybe sometimes it's not as conscious as the others. It's still within your means to be able to do or not do something, honestly. Like, I make the decision every weekend to go out to the cafe in Footscray, big shout out to them, to do some work. Because I know that if I stay at home, I can't work. But if I go out there, I'm spending money, but I also have to work because I have so much to do.
Because you're there for a purpose.
Yeah.
So what's really powerful about that is every decision you make, you become better at making that decision.
Yeah.
Good or bad. So if you decide on a month, me for example, I'm a personal trainer, I decide my own hours, I can book people in, blah, 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 but I have to do the work to book people in, etc.
Yeah.
So my leads and my income is self-generated to an extent. I could decide on Monday, I don't have any paid clients. I'll just sleep in. That's a decision. If I keep making that decision every single day that I don't have clients in the morning, what do you think is going to happen? That's going to spiral down. That's going to roll into every single other one of my habits. And who knows where my business could end up, or
it's complacency.
That's it.
Laziness and complacency. It's, to the point that, because you keep on doing that, you'll even notice yourself a drop of quality in the advice that you give to your clients.
100%.
Depending on you, are paying you money because they want to make a better change.
And now, because you're not practicing that skill and that trait that you're meant to be good at.
Yeah. But of course, that sort of, those sort of decisions to like take a step back like that, there are other factors as well, from life. Like for me, I remember there was this period, and it's still easy to fall into it, but I'd like to say I got out of it.
Yeah.
This period where I just, I learned photography, I read books, I did a few events. I even got a new camera.
Right.
But I was just so demotivated because, coming back to what we were talking about, comparing myself, putting so much worth on, because I didn't get 500 likes or 6,000 followers on Instagram. And I just stopped photography for a few months. And I was always saying I was on a hiatus, I was on break, I was on a sabbatical. Basically I'm making bullshit excuses of why I didn't do it.
Yeah.
It was because I just got lazy. But after a while, I was just like, well, you've spent a lot of money on this stuff. But also, why do you actually want to shoot? Like your example. It's just
at the time, I asked you too. Okay, what if I magically wave the wand and you have 1 million Instagram followers and you get 100,000 likes on every single photo? What would you do? And at the time, you're like, I don't know. So then it comes back to attaching your self-worth to X.
Yeah.
Which you
100%.
should probably not do.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So how did you get out of that?
I mean, after a while, I just realized, look, there was the economic factor. I spent a lot of money on gear. But no, but in seriousness, a lot of it came down to, like, I had to ask the question of, why did you get into it in the first place? This is sappy and cliche. But, capturing moments of having an appreciation for that sort of visual part of life adds so much to my personal life that I've been able to see different things in different perspectives. I've been able to make amazing friendships, meet new people, because
Create amazing things.
it's, and it was also something that I can invest in my whole life. It's something that I can always consistently learn. The ways that you approach a photo always changes. Technology and cameras change. It's so interesting. I mean,
But what's consistent is you.
yeah. I mean, I did get a new camera. It's a beautiful camera, but
Yeah.
that's not the point. But just, I just found a spark again, and I just realized, if I want to get more out of it, I need to step out of my comfort zone a bit. And I did. I started approaching friends that I might not be as close to. I was like, hey, you should model for me, or we should go out and shoot sometimes.
Yeah.
And
then what got you out of that essentially was that drive to step back, look at the big picture, and realize, hey, I still want to improve and keep doing this.
Yeah, 100%.
And then you got back into it, slowly got out of it.
I mean, there are always lulls when you're like, but for the most part, you still have that drive to being able to do something.
And I think that falls back on not relying on how you feel.
Especially like high emotions shouldn't make such big decisions. Then
Yes, extreme emotions.
Yeah.
Like of happiness or negative feelings.
Yeah.
So what you should do instead is constantly have something to remind you of why you're doing certain things, or why this is important to you. So I think in that sense, something that I've implemented, again, in credit to Ben and Jason, more so Ben, my close mentor and friend, is putting together some sort of a vision board. And I've told this to Alan as well, and he's done it. So
a vision board's on a shopping list, by the way. I've fallen into that trap way too many times.
I told him off a bit, and then he didn't talk to me for a while.
Anyway.
And then we both apologized, and then had our morning coffee, and then we got back onto it.
Yeah.
So the concept of a vision board is visually reminding yourself of why you're doing what you're doing and what you want to achieve. What points in life do you want to be at? So, for example, I put on my vision board, at the end of the year, I want to be able to go to Sydney.
Yeah.
With Alan for 2 weeks, take photos, hang out.
Staycation.
It's a trip that we're going out on, of our own accord, right? And that'll be a huge mark of independence for me as well as Alan, I believe. And that's why I put it on there.
Yeah.
And then to take that a step further, we want to go to Japan eventually, maybe even for a longer period of time.
That would be fun.
Yeah. But the point is, what's interesting as well is, and I said what's interesting is, again...
What interesting?
Yeah, it's very interesting, all of this, is by the time we are able to go to Japan, or for longer or for the same amount of time, it's going to be more expensive.
Oh, yeah.
So at that point in life, I want to be able to not just afford that, but be comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Be more mature, be a bit more progressed in my financial, work, whatever you want to call it, life. And then some other things I might include on and this is important too, put dates on your vision board. So I've marked mine off by every...
I've just put pictures on mine because they look pretty, but I forgot about the dates.
It's like, okay, cool, that's things you still want to achieve, but like...
Yeah, but like you said, put dates on because...
Yeah, maybe not specific dates.
Maybe a year even.
But I personally put every 6 months. What do I want to have achieved? So having moved out, or having that brand new car, or, something like that, that's some sort of achievement, having your own place, whatever it is.
But then like that sort of stuff, like you said, like what I'm picking up on this, what's really interesting, is that it stacks on a lot of other things. Like with the car, it's like, okay, you need to get your license, or a house, you need to be financially stable. It's like you build up for that, and it's exciting because you get to pursue what you want. On my vision board anyway, for the next 6 months, there's just a really big picture of a graduation ceremony.
Yeah.
And how do I get to graduate? Well, I need to pass my remaining units. I need to keep...
Why is it important to you? Yeah.
Yeah, because I want to graduate. Because, uni's been such an amazing experience, and I just want to end it on a note where it's like, yeah, you got your degree, but it's just beyond a piece of paper for you.
Yeah.
And of course, I've got Sydney and Toronto I should add a bus to it at some point.
With that vision board, it's well and good to make it and make yourself feel good about it.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do about it? Do you know what I mean? So that's where you have to sit down and assess what's realistic, or what are you willing to do to work towards it.
Do a SWOT analysis. So
Yeah, maybe. If
Maybe.
that's what it takes.
Yeah,
if that's what helps you, if that's the kind of person you are. But the fact is, it'll be different from one person to the other.
100%. Like, a vision board is not meant to be the same.
Yep.
Like, Tam might have a car in his, I don't.
Yeah.
You know, so it is your board. It is your own way on how you want to achieve that. You know, and you know, we're not judging on how you want to achieve things, but have a strategy in mind of how you want to do it. Again, that stuff like timelines and whatnot are so important. Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
All right. Well,
So I think that's a good note to leave things on,
yeah.
especially with something actionable that you guys can do.
Yeah.
So, okay, cool. Relationships, achievements, whatever it is.
Making the most of, you know.
Try not to attach too much worth to it. Step back, assess it somewhat logically. You know, sometimes emotions happen. You have to let them happen. After that, come back to it, assess it.
And the thing is, you're allowed to feel those emotions.
Yeah.
It is not, it's not bad to be emotional, you know, it's just human.
It's human.
But it's just, you're allowed to have that period, however long it takes, but not too long, that you put yourself in that mind state. But there's a point where you need to be like, all right, I need to do something about this. I need to take a stand. You know?
What might be a good approach is be aware of it at the beginning. Okay, I feel like shit right now, but I'm going to give myself 2 weeks. Like, put a time limit on it.
Yeah.
After that, say, okay, I've done my whatever I need to do.
Or even just give yourself some space or time during any given day of being able to feel those emotions.
Right.
Like, you know, maybe it's the shower, or maybe it's on the bus, or maybe you're meditating. It's like, all right, this is where I can feel like shit or cry my guts out.
Yeah.
But after that, you get out of the room. All right, it's time to take on whatever you want to take on. You know?
So what's at the crux of that is realization, awareness, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Being aware of what's going on, having the larger picture. And you won't sound this eloquent when you're experiencing those emotions.
No.
But you just be,
There might be a lot of swearing. Let's be
okay,
real.
this is a negative period in my life right now, but it will get better. And then, you know, you can let yourself feel those emotions, lock yourself in your room, feel what you need to do, or go out and do something that allows you to cope with it a little bit better.
Yeah.
You know, make yourself feel better,
Of course.
and then move on.
100%. I can't say 100%. Anyway. Yours interesting, so I'm 100%. Anyway.
Do you know Dan Mace on YouTube?
No, I don't.
So he's the guy who collabed with Casey for a while. He's South African.
Oh, yeah.
And he says 100 cement
Oh, that's interesting.
on purpose.
On purpose.
I love it.
Oh, it's great.
100 cement.
100 cement. No, I'm not going to start saying that myself.
Alrighty, I think we've taken enough of your brain capacity for now.
Yes.
Let you go off and enjoy your evenings or whatever time it is, wherever you're at.
Maybe. What if they're in Antarctica where it's just evenings for like half the year and then daytime for half the
Can
year?
you listen to podcasts from Antarctica?
Yeah. Satellite.
I sound like such an idiot.
Wait. A mirror is real if eyes aren't real?
Maybe, and we'll leave you with that philosophical question to figure out.
Yeah, ask Jaden Smith, not me. But anyway.
Maybe we'll have Jaden Smith on next time.
Oh, totally.
See you guys later.
See ya.